Um, Hello guys, so I'm Kieran, a sport therapist working around the South Essex area. This is Ben. Ben, where do you work from?
I work at a private studio in Rayleigh. It's called LSPT Studios. It's just trainers and clients there, so there's no public. Just a nice private studio for clients to come in and train.
Yeah, I keep meaning to actually have sessions with you to see that gym, because like in the pictures that you post up, it always does look pretty cool. So what we're going to be running through, guys, obviously I'm a sport therapist, Ben's a PT. We're collaborating our ideas and we're going to try and feed some information to you guys and give you some knowledge in how to train at home during this whole pandemic situation. I've also put forward to a bunch of people how to help maintain their injuries, help manage their injuries at home. I put forward a few days ago to people on my Facebook page, if they've got any injuries or anything like that, then mention them and I'll try and go through them. For Ben, how are you going to be doing the training stuff, Ben? Like it's all body weight stuff we're going to be doing, isn't it?
Yeah, we're mostly covering body weight because most people are a little bit limited at the minute with equipment. So I've got a few of my guys to all the bands. If they've got dumbbells, great. But if not, it's really just about getting the movement patterns in, just body weight. And then when we're let loose in the gym, we're in a much better position because we're moving better. We've built some resilience up, and then we can start messing around with the weights and machines correctly. But just working on getting a good squat, a hinge, a push, a pull, and a lunge, and then covering all basic movement patterns, then we can start loading up in the gym. And obviously we're going to be covering.
That's sort of your key thing, isn't it? When you train stuff, that you hit those 5 points, and then that kind of covers everything.
Yeah, and then you can go off from there. So that's like building blocks, is building foundation. So it's a lot of body weight stuff first. So I might not let someone deadlift for 3 months until we've built up that hinge, till we've built up some good core strength to protect the back. Some back strength and arm strength, and then we can go on to barbells and dumbbells. But yeah, that's what we're going to cover today, aren't we? So some core and cardio and some body weight training safely at home, so no one's getting injured.
Yeah, and
then we're ready for the gym again.
Cool. And yeah, so once we've done those training routines, what we're going to do is hopefully I'm going to be able to upload images on certain exercises, because some of these people might not be familiar with. And then, as I say, I'm going to go through some injuries. I'm going to get Ben's input on some of these exercises, because I've obviously got rehab plans for a lot of things, but I think a bit of creativity from Ben's end might help in that as well.
Yeah, and just a big part of my training is injury prevention. I've suffered with a few injuries. So my first thing, whenever I'm programming a client's exercise plan, injury prevention's in my mind. What can we activate first? What problems are we working around? If it's the knee, do we need to work on the squat mechanics, strengthening the quads, activating the glutes, stuff like that, before we can load up the actual barbell squat, So yeah, and then if it's a major problem, I send them to you, obviously. But,
yeah. From my end, I'm exactly the same. When I'm in the clinic and I'm treating people, I'm thinking to myself, this area needs strengthened, this area needs to be worked on, this area needs to be mobilized. And obviously I'm not a personal trainer. I've not got those qualifications that you've got. So when it comes to certain exercises, I've got the basics and I've got certain ways to utilize certain muscle groups. But you're going to know like so many different variations of those exercises. So it'll be interesting to put those together. I look forward to it. My work in treatment looks on strength. Your work on strengthening looks on making sure injuries don't happen. So it's going to go well. And then, so once we've covered injuries, we're going to go through frequency and intensity and all that kind of stuff with regards to how much of these exercises you do per week. I'm going to slightly touch on nutrition, but if I'm honest, if you want to know more details about that, because that's a whole other thing on its own, speak to Ben privately. We'll have his information in the whole caption stuff. So if you want to take this seriously, I would recommend a pen and paper for a lot of this stuff. You don't have to keep referring back to the video over and over if you're going to do these exercises. So let's start with home-based exercises. If we go with, you always tend to do a bit of core as a warm-up. Is that right? A bit of core warm-up and then go for something.
That's it. Yeah, I like to not batter it at the start and wore it out, but I like to get it activated a little bit. So some maybe pelvic floor work, get the core going, and then maybe some plank work, which will also warm up the shoulders, and then go on to lifting. So maybe just 1 or 2 sets as part of like a mobility sequence, warm up drill, 5-10 minutes, and then get into the session.
we didn't actually write anything down, but we've got mountain climbers, star jumps. Mountain climbers are in a plank, and then you bring your knees up. Alternatively, star jumps. Everyone knows what those are. Hopefully, what else do we have? Burpees. Oh, everyone loves a burpee.
My clients love burpees.
Yeah, and high knees as you're running on the spot, and just try different variations of things that you can do on the spot. Maybe time yourself for a minute or a minute and a half, 2 minutes, then move on to the next one. See what your ability level is. Okay, so that's the core exercises. Then we're going to go to pushing and pull for and all that, and the hinges and the lunges and anything like that. Go on, take it away.
Yeah, so I like to get someone on the treadmill or something. So right now you could go walk around the block, and then you could get, as soon as you come in, you could run through some movement stretches. So dynamic stretches, get everything moving. Then your core work, as we just said, planks, dead bugs, flutter kicks, V-sits, anything like that. There's loads of different ones you can cover. And then depending on your goal, depending what session you're going to do, but you just want to make sure you cover a squat, a lunge, some type of push, and then a pull. Pushing would be, push-ups, knee push-ups, working through the progressions you could do. That's quite simple. Pulling's a little tricky without equipment. All you would need is a band. So you could do seated row on the floor, wrap it around your feet. You could do a single arm banded pull, so split squat position, and you've got the single arm row. Maybe if you can get under some chairs, or maybe a table for inverted rows. And you've got pull-up bars outside, it'll be a little tricky for pull. But you can definitely work on the lunges and, the basic movements before you may go onto a HIIT circuit, cardio, some high intensity circuits, 30
About
and 30.
with the upper body stuff you mentioned the other day when we were talking about TWL.
Yeah, so there's a few shoulder mobility warm-up drills. So I do this before every single upper body session, and I get all my guys in the studio to do it. I've got a band right here. So just all you need is a simple resistance band. So a mobility drill could just be over and backs for 10, and it could just be pull aparts, so rear delt warm-ups. So we're just going pull aparts. So we just want to fire up our rear delts, working the muscles around the shoulder blade. And then face pull, so you could attach it to something and then pull against. And then, yeah, you've got the YTWL, so just working in the different planes for your shoulders, trying to hit the 4 rotator cuff muscles, trying to warm the whole joints up. So we've got just different movement patterns, T's, W's. Yeah, that's a whole sequence that's designed to warm up, ready for upper body. Was that what you're asking, Kieran? Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember you mentioning it. I was curious to know a little bit more detail about it. Okay, so core. Yeah, we've got V-sits, flutter kicks, planks, knee push-ups. I think that's more upper body. Sorry?
Shoulder mobility work, and then you could do your push and pull.
Yeah, shoulder mobility, yeah. So we'll mention the YTLW stuff in that bit. Again, I'm imagining as they're writing it down. So we've got 3 core exercises, and then we've got so with the upper body stuff, we've got knee push-ups, seated row. The shoulder mobility stuff was to move around to mobilize the shoulders. What other stuff have you got for your shoulders for people to do as a workout routine? Have you got any other exercises people chuck in?
Depending what equipment you've got, shoulders would be a little tricky. You could obviously press with the band. You could stand on it and then overhead press with the band. You've got your side raises. Obviously, you can do the same with dumbbell work. Training shoulders a little tricky without anything, unless you can do handstand push-ups.
Sure enough.
Otherwise, you're looking at push and pull, really. Yeah. And then, yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so upper body and core, yeah, upper body we've got, yeah, as you say, with a kettlebell resistance band, you can cover a lot more stuff, can't we?
Yeah,
I can see what you're saying. It's a bit tough. Legs and core is going to be a lot simpler, but with arms, you kind of need that resistance.
But with a band, you can cover everything with a band.
Yeah.
It's just about internal focus with a band, making your mind's on the muscle, creating tension with the resistance band, just like you would without. So you're really focusing on the technique. You want to go slow, so make it a little harder, really perfect the technique, perfect the movement before we're let loose in the gym, like I said earlier. Just creating that tension, you can add more reps. Why not you always go 10 to 12 in the gym perhaps. Why not at home right now push it to 20, 30? why not do more volume? You could probably train a little more during the week, because recovery, you don't need so much recovery because you're not hitting the weights or the roads. Training at home, you could maybe do it every other day. This type of plan.
So lower weights equals lower recovery.
If the session's not as hard, using less weight, then there'll be in less. You don't need so much recovery. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
potentially depends. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I'm just trying to keep the flow going. I'm trying to think of the other stuff. So yeah, we've got upper body exercises. So yeah, for people to note at home, I think it might be good to go on Amazon or eBay. You can get like resistance band packs. They're like $5, and you can get a load of different varieties.
Big loops
Yeah.
band. These are perfect.
Yeah, I mean, one large one like that, you can do whatever you want. You can double it over, make it a bit harder.
Yeah.
So yeah, with regards to the upper body stuff, probably a recommendation to get the resistance bands. There are things like, what's that? Is it a gorilla crawl or monkey crawl or something? That covers quite a lot. That's core and legs and everything, isn't it?
Everything.
That's quite cool. Yeah. Okay, so lower body. Again, we'd start, like, let's say this is a separate day. We'd start with those core exercises again. We've got planks. Yeah, so you've got a plank. I mean, even in planks, you've got different plank variations. You've got those planks. You can go up onto your hands and onto your elbows, up onto your hands. You can one leg, flutter kicks.
Yeah, so that's a push and shoulder drill, but obviously it's core as well. Your hips might twist a little bit, but you're trying to keep them as level as they can. So then your core's activated. That's the sort of good stuff you could do at the start of the session. Maybe just 10 reps before you go on to your push-ups or any other push-pull you're going to work on. But yeah, let's talk about what like an lower body session. So that was a bit of upper. Maybe like a squat and a hinge or a lunge. That's what we're going to try and work on at home as well.
Okay, so lower body, we're going to go, obviously, standard squats.
Yeah, so make sure you cover a squat. And you can work on either walking lunges if you've got the room, or split squat, so just lunges on the spot. And then a hip hinge, which may be later on down the line for some people, but obviously that can lead on to a deadlift or RDL, straight leg deadlifts, anything like that.
So hip hinge, by that you mean an RDL. Okay, so for people at home, Romanian deadlift, or a hip hinge, or good mornings as they're known as, straight back, straight legs, and you just you're hinging at the hips, as Ben says, and that's really good for the hamstrings. You can do it reaching your arms forward. You can do it holding a kettlebell or resistance bands around you, however you want to do it. But yeah, that's a really good one. So yeah, I'll put RDLs down in there as well. I mean, this is just so I can, I'm imagining me watching it and working out what I write down. So I've got squats, lunges, RDLs. What other lower body stuff have we got?
Went through squats, and then so it's double leg, and then we'll go to some unilateral work with some lunges, perhaps. So single leg, split squats on the spot, walking lunges, like I said, or you can put one leg back on your bed or a chair, sofa, and then you're working that front leg.
A Bulgarian split squat.
Yeah, so you put one leg back behind you. You got that one. Yeah. So there's different ways of loading the legs. You can make sure you cover like double leg, single leg. You can load up with a band. You can use a band for that as well. So around the back of your head, put the front foot stand on the front foot on top of the band, and then the load's coming down over that front leg. There's loads of videos on that. I've got some myself. So
with the Bulgarian split squats, again, just for people at home, a Bulgarian split squat is basically a lunge, but with your back foot on something raised. Maybe a chair or the arm of the sofa. You want to make, I don't know how you teach it in the gym, Ben. When I get people to do this as rehab, I say keep your weight 50-50. Make sure you've got the same weight on the back leg as you do on the front. So and you should basically keep your posture in the middle, as opposed to leaning on that front leg.
Everyone will do it slightly differently. Just make sure your heels are down. If your heels are coming up, might be too much pressure through that front knee tendon. So you want to be hitting the quads, but you don't want to be smashing the knees too much. So make sure your posture is good whilst doing the movement. feet are on the floor, and your chest is up, your shoulders level, hips are level, keeping your core tight. Just good mechanics.
Good balance on that one.
Yeah.
Good balance one. Yeah, a lot of people will do it and they'll wobble all over the place. It's good fun.
Hard. Yeah. This is the good time to train at home. This is when you can work on it. So, when no one's really watching, you do it at home in your room, and then you're in a good position when we get back in the gym or studio. Then you can work on your lunges with weight. But right now, no one's watching, so you can work on your squat in the mirror, your lunge, your hip hinge, a push and a pull, and then you're covering everything. And then you're in a really good position for when you go back in the gym.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it, to be fair. People, getting a sort of practice before they build up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's upper body and lower body. These are all really simple exercises for people at home. It's like 3 or 4 per category, so there's no excuse not to do it. And obviously, as you say, we can increase load, you can increase reps to keep it challenging for you. We're going to finish with cardio. So we've got upper body and core, lower body and core, and then obviously that walk around the block as a warm up. And then we've got some. What are we going to do for cardio?
It depends if you've got any equipment. If not, obviously you can just use the roads. Go outside for your walk, run, cycle. Anything that gets your heart rate up. That's what cardio is. And anything that gets your heart rate up. So you could be at home. It could just be high knees running on the spot. It could be the burpees, mountain climbs, the stuff that everyone knows within a circuit. Maybe like 30 on, 30 off, 40 on, 20 off. Be more challenging. So anything like that at the end of a session could be good. Whilst you're fresh, you could do the strength work more at the start, and then you do this hit cardio more at the end, perhaps, to burn calories, training the heart, stuff at the end.
That's what I've been doing with my mum and sister. Three out of 4 days, 3 of them I ring them up and I go through a half-hour training program. And
it's great.
one of those is cardio, and it's literally we do 1 set of about 5 exercises, and those 5 exercises you've got mountain climbers, running on the spot with high knees. You can come through. Running on the spot with high knees. What else we got? Burpees, star jumps, basic stuff, and maybe a minute and a half per exercise. Have a 2-minute break, get your breath back, and then do them all again. I don't know. Obviously, going outdoors. Yeah, as you say, having a run around the block, or if you've got a bike, going for a bike. Home-based exercises, it's just about continuous, low intensity. You don't want to puff yourself out, do you? It's about keeping it continuous.
Yeah, and obviously, yeah, that's right. And then I like progressing everything. So you don't want to get comfortable with all this home training. So I would write it on a pen and paper, put it in your phone, or like what I do with my clients, I track it all on my phone in the different apps. And then you just look to progress. So say you did a 15-minute run. Maybe next week you'll do a 20-minute run, or even a 17-minute run. So just like with the squat, lunges and all that, trying to add reps, trying to add seconds to do the reps, so tempo training. With cardio, you could try and increase it as well, or the HIIT training. Work for 40 seconds now instead of 30. So you're challenging yourself every week. So you're trying to make it a little bit harder.
Awesome. What was I always lose track. As soon as we change a topic, I'm like, and I have to try and remember. I suppose that's... Go on, sorry.
I was saying it's good to chat to you without you digging an elbow in me or a needle for once.
That's the actual fun part. But then we have fun chats in there as well, to be fair, don't we?
Yeah, I've just got about 5 feet of shoulder.
Okay, so I'm just going to review what we've gone through so far. So if you're training upper body, we have obviously start with core, so that's planks, flutter kicks, V-sits. A V-sit, is that a static hold?
Yes and no. But the way I do it is laying, you can lay flat on the floor and you're just coming up into a V. So legs and your body creating a V, and then you're flattening back There's loads of different ways of doing it. Everyone would do it slightly different, but I prefer the moving ones at the start of the session because obviously blood flow, heart rate, trying to get it up,
Yeah.
and maybe statics at the end. So maybe hit some plank static holds at the end of the session.
Okay, cool. And then we go on to upper body stuff. So yeah, planks, flutter kicks, V sits. I mean, maybe some star jumps just to warm people up again.
Yeah, that's it.
Really simple stuff.
Yeah.
So every session start with something like that, and then we've got, this is like a sum up for people that are watching, and then we've got for upper body stuff, we've got push-ups or knee push-ups, however you want to do it, seated rows, or ideally order a band. If you haven't got a band, as Ben said earlier, you can get under a table and pull yourself up. It'll be a bit unusual, but if it works, right? Or, like a pull-up bar in your door frame. Then we got shoulder presses, a banded shoulder press. Again, you kind of need a band to push yourself up. Unless you've got some weights, there's not really another way around that. I wouldn't think. Or as you say, doing a handstand. Walking around the block you mentioned right at the start as a warm up to get the blood going as well. Yeah. And then we've got lower body. So again, you'd start with the planks, flutter kicks, V sits, walking around the block, get your blood pumping, maybe some star jumps, and then you follow that with some variations of squats, lunges, Romanian deadlifts, which is where you've got that back straight, it's the hinge, some Bulgarian split squats where you've got your foot on the edge of a sofa. What I'd add on there, specifically for runners and stuff like that, is some calf work as well. So some single leg calf raises. Have you got different variations of those?
Yeah, well, we've got a question, haven't we, that we're going to cover in a bit. Someone's asking about calf use, but I would add in, maybe switch it up each session, but a standing calf raise and then a seated calf raise. Especially that problem we've got later, the gentleman that commented in about slowing the eccentrics down on the seated calf raises would be a good one. So it's two different muscles, and the way you train the calves will just hit the muscles a little differently. So a bit more on the soleus, maybe for one, and then a bit more gastrocnemius for the other. So single leg, double leg, tilting your feet in and out, standing and seated for the calves. But that'd be a good thing at the end of a lower body session. Yeah.
How would you add load for a bent leg calf raise? Because obviously seated, you're taking your weight off.
Yeah, well, you could put something on your lap. So put something not over your knee, but perhaps on your quad. So you could put the dumbbells over your quads, or load up a rucksack or something. And you create it yourself. So you need to get that internal focus. We might not have the load at home right now, but you can add pressure by leaning forwards into a little bit, but more pausing, contracting at the right times. Obviously controlling your breathing whilst you're doing it, but a little tricky to load up.
I just had a thought. Most people aren't living by themselves, so they could just get someone to sit on their lap as they're going through it.
You could do that. Yeah, I do the same with push-ups. Yeah,
there you go. Oh, all right.
Make it a little harder.
Just get someone to lay on you. God. Okay, so let's go through a few of these injuries. So we've done those. We've done these exercises. We've got core and upper body, core and lower body. Then we've got some cardio. The cardio. So exercise injuries. Let's just cover a few of these. Obviously, we don't want to go in too detail because this could go on for another couple of hours. But the first one we've got is rotator cuff stiffness. So this is someone with shoulders that are just feeling a little bit stiff, whether that's being indoors so much or they've got an injury. So straight away, I'm thinking the exercise we mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, using the band. So just a shoulder mobility drill, hitting different angles. So the 10 over and backs, the 10 pull aparts and the 10 face pulls, or you've got the YTWL. There's different shoulder mobility routines. So they're in all strength and conditioning programs. You prescribe the same thing. I know you've done it for me once, but just anything that warms the shoulder up. You make sure you're hitting all four rotator cuff muscles when you're doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. When it comes to rotator cuff stiffness, my first thought is you want a low level of resistance. So a resistance band, or, tins of beans, as everyone's been using recently. Not that it would really do much, but and just going through every range of movement. So you've got abduction, going up and over, retraction and protraction, all these kind of movements, shrugs, lateral and external rotation. So I think this was actually for Bav who asked. So Bav, what I'd say is, if you, has she got resistance bands? Do you know? Can you remember?
Must have. Must have.
Yeah, I'm thinking she must have. If you've got resistance bands, attach it to a door handle and pull it away and pull it back in. Do the same the other way around. So you pull it this way and come back in. There's loads of different variations, and just moving your shoulders as much as you can. If you just, and when I say that, you want to be doing it for a good 10 minutes, or if not more. You know, people go, "Oh, that's better," and then they carry on with their day. You know, you want to spend a good amount of time going through the whole thing.
More range of motion.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Hitting the next one, we got some knee strength. Now this will be a good one. So we've already mentioned knee strength earlier on. We've got we've got leg strength. We've got our little program. But what I would say, what I would say to you, Ben, just to get you in on this person's sedentary, so they don't regularly exercise. Now, would you start with, well, I suppose you would, wouldn't you? Squats, lunges, RDLs, all these things. You would just do them a little bit less so, right?
Yeah, just maybe body weight to start with. So I'd get them moving more. So I'd maybe not just with me, but just walking more. You've got to be more active. Obviously, that knee is going to be weak and stiff, and then that's where you get the discomfort and pain. And then if I say I've got them in the studio, I would work on just the squat. I wouldn't lunge just yet, perhaps. I'd work on the squat mechanics. So just good squat mechanics, hinging at the hips, not so much at the knee, keeping their feet on the floor, maybe toes pointed out slightly if they need it. And just building up a good squat and then a lunge and then maybe a hip hinge. And then we look low, just like you would in clinic.
Yeah. What I'd say is when you're doing these squats, just from the injury point of view, do them eccentrically. So sort of count to 4 or 5 seconds on the way down when you're doing these squats. Yeah. If you're in that much pain that when you get to that end point it's sore, get a chair behind you and slowly sit and then stand back up. Slowly sit down, stand back up. A lot of people that struggle with squats because they just can't get the coordination, I say, imagine you're sitting down, and then they manage to do it absolutely fine. So what I would say to you with this knee problem is, slow sits, get your bum on the chair and stand back up. Try and do 15 to 20 with your own body weight. If that's too much, start with 10 and work your way up. Try to avoid anything open chain. Open chain meaning your feet leaving the floor. So anything impact based might irritate your knees. So stick with feet fixed on the floor, doing those kind of exercises. Strength for runners. This one's a long one, but again, let's we're pretty much repeating ourselves, aren't we, with some of these exercises? So we've covered, I tell you what, let's go through the basics. So we've covered quads with squats. I mean, we've covered most muscles with the squats. We've got lunges, walking lunges, calf raises, really important. As a runner, you want to be able to do 25. You want to be able to do 25 to 30 single leg calf raises. If you can't, obviously, again, work your way up, but you need that calf strength when you're running. That's you could do that straight leg and bent leg. When I do calf raises, I tend to do 15 straight, and then I bend my knees and do another 10. So I'm hitting both, as Ben mentioned earlier. That's the top part of my calf as well as the bottom. What about stuff for the hips, Ben? Like stuff for the glutes? Are there any like glute specific exercises? Because that's really important in runners.
Stuff for the different types of lunges. So the lunges would hit the glutes. Make sure your heels are screwed into the floor. But just working the hip hinges. And if you've got a glute problem, might be a good idea to start with some glute work. So some clams or some, bridges. slow rolling spine bridges perhaps before you go on to your lunges, just to get them fired up. That comes down to also knee problems. Knee glutes are important with that. So just some glute work before you lunge, and then that will obviously strengthen up. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so as you're doing these lunges or the glute bridges are pelvic lifts. So you're laying on your back, you bend your knees, and you lift your bum off the floor and then back down. You can do that single leg, double legged, as long as it's hard enough for you to do. Make sure, including in the lunges, make sure you're squeezing that glute when you do it. Make sure you're actually contracting it. Otherwise, your load goes into your hamstrings and your quads. You're already going to be working on those with the squats and everything else. So when you're doing glute-specific exercises, make sure you're using the glutes. Otherwise, they just get tired and they don't get used. Shin splints is a really tough one to be able to do over something like this where we're being quite broad. But the golden rule is nothing that works on impact, because that's just going to keep irritating it. Anti-inflammatories, it's all stuff that you'd see on NHS websites, to be honest. There's not much else I can offer over this kind of thing, other than, as I say, resting from impact, some ice maybe to reduce your pain, and maybe some compression. I don't know. Have you dealt with anything like that before, Ben, in training? I can't imagine that's something that comes up.
Not really, not so much. Not really, mate. No.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so next one, we've got mid to lower back pain from sitting so much naturally in this whole corona situation. So I think mobility wise, well, again, if you want to, if you've got anything to cover the trunk when it comes to mobility, what are your go-tos for that?
For low back pain, for low back issues.
Yeah. Well, not so much pain, more stiffness, more just lack of range of movement. How would you free it up?
So just daily movement. So one yoga session a week, one training session, it might not be enough to cut it. So just a couple times a day, a 5-10 minute movement routine, just moving more, getting out for walks. A lot of the time it's a weakness or stiffness, and then you're going to get the pain. So I do like a 3-day series. So I do, say, yesterday, Monday was spine. Today will be hips. Tomorrow will be shoulders. And then on Thursday, I go back to spine. And it would just be 2 lots of 10 minutes. So like a morning mobility movement, and then like a recovery movement with some breathing before bed in the evening. So I'm just always moving, and now I've got 1 or 2 walks in. So you just need to move more whilst training in these patterns we talked about.
Your spine exercises, what are your 3 exercises?
There's loads of exercises. It's kind of a sequence I'm following. So lots of different movements, different patterns, focusing on the hips and then the spine. Some of it standing, and then some of it ground based. Hard to explain, but there's lots of different movements.
Okay. All right. Well, for for the viewer's sake, the person that's asking about lower back stiffness, we'll cover. For me, I'll cover the planes of movement. So we've got side flexion, so you could literally stand, drop side to side, and then we've got rotation, so laying on your back, arms out to the side, so you've got a bit of stability. Make sure your shoulders don't lift up. Bend your knees, drop them side to side. Again, these are all really basic things you can find online. For more personal, specific stuff, as we're going to say quite a lot towards the end of this, contact us directly. Ben's really good with his training stuff. If you want more specific exercises, ask Ben. If you've got an injury that's just not going anywhere, we're both doing consultations over the internet, so let us know. But yeah, so got lumbar rotations, got the side to side, and then we want to do some flexion extension. So with that, I'd say standing, wide stance, really make sure it is a good wide stance, alternate hand to feet. So really drop down, touch your foot, come back up and go the other way. You can bend the knee because we're not working on the hamstring, we're working on the spine. So bend your knee a little bit and really go down for that reach. If there's pain, don't go that far. Pain is your limit. Just go as far as that lets you. hip mobility. God, blimey, some of these that I mentioned you were the same with your exercises. You've got like an hour's worth of stuff you want to go off. Hip mobility stuff. What I'd go for that is and a bit of light strength. So side leg raises, glute bridges, straight leg raises, just laying on your back. Have you got any? I've got a few more, but
yeah, there's loads. I could go for a whole routine right now. I'm just trying to explain it over this, but all fours position, and then just some rotations, keeping one side still and your back straight, and then just moving your legs out to the side, circular motions. You're not pushing into pain, just getting that whole joint moving. And there's certain ones you could do standing. There's lots of different ways you could do it, but it's just trying to get all the hips moving in the different directions, and daily as well. So if it's weak or stiff, you need to keep moving it, not just a walk, but keep doing this mobility work each day.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like a lot of these things we're reading and we're thinking to ourselves, well, it's not rocket science, but there's a lot of people out there that just they don't know this. Obviously this isn't their industry, so we're looking at it just thinking, oh, come on. But of course, a lot of people are just like they don't know how to engage with it. This is why I mentioned about the list of exercises and amount of reps and stuff like that. So with the hip mobility, I'd say glute bridges, side leg raises, straight leg raises. Standing up, you could do some leg side swings. You could bring your knee up to your stomach and back. And again, maybe like 10 to 15 reps on all of these. It's not about strength. It's just about mobility. And doing it, as Ben said, doing it on a regular basis, not doing it once and then, right, I'm okay now. It's got to keep maintained. Plantar fasciitis / calf strength. Again, plantar fasciitis is a tough one to do over the net. That's if it is 100% plantar fasciitis. So what I'd normally do in clinic with that is shockwave therapy. Obviously, we haven't got that available to us at the moment. So you can look at a plantar fasciitis or a plantar fascia calf raise. So sorry to bore you on this one, Ben, but with a plantar fascia calf raise, you're going to be doing a normal calf raise where you go up onto your tiptoes, but you want to tuck something under your toes, so your toes are raised. Not the whole ball of your foot, just your toes. And that's just going to lift them up a little bit. And when you go through that calf raise, you'll really feel that stretch on the bottom of your foot. And that works really good for it. So doing that either double-legged or single-legged, just see what you can do. And obviously always have that slow return back down. If you've got a foam roller, get that on your calf as well, and spend a good 5-10 minutes doing that. Again, don't do like a minute or two and then get bored. Really stick to it and try. Again, this all needs to be a daily routine. Raise thing up and then slowly down. Again, regular routine. Have you got anything to add on the calf stuff, on the Achilles pain? Anything that I suppose avoid the impact?
Yeah, wearing the right shoes. Make sure they're supportive for you. Then make sure you got the right insoles in for you. And then we covered a bit of the calf strength, ways to do it: single leg, double leg, standing, seated. Yeah, we covered that, I think, really. But that's probably more for you in clinic as well, isn't it? Anyway.
It's so tough. I mean, I've been doing video consultations, obviously, and some of these, I'm talking to them, and we're going through certain exercises and stuff, and I'm trying to analyze over the video. And it's so tough. You just have to try and be as good as you can get. The last one is golfer's elbow. That's a really tough one to do it. Again, it's a really tough because it's so specific and so in a certain area, it's quite small. The only thing I can really give for that is an isometric exercise. So golfers, I think, is medial, isn't it? Medial or lateral? Medial, yeah. Golfers is on the inside. So that should be here. Tennis is on the top, golfers is on the inside. So if you're getting pain there, it's going to be whenever you squeeze your hand, whenever you try and open door frames and things like that. So if that's the problem you've got, what I'd say is get a broomstick handle and do some slow rotations with it. It always works quite well. And then do 10 the other way. Just a bit of mobilization. And then I'd say some isometric work, which is where you contract but don't move. Get your hand flat on a table, and then you're just going to push down on the table for about 20-25 seconds. If it's sore, don't push as hard. If you can push harder, then do. 5 lots of 25 seconds. But any more information, it'd have to be a one-on-one chat, because that's, yeah, everyone suffers differently with that. Right. Is there anything you want to mention about nutrition, or is that something more that people would have to contact you about?
Yeah, well, you can do. Definitely message me. I'll always get back to you. But that's probably a separate video. But just making sure to not gain weight right now. I'm doing some posts on this actually as well soon. But just lower carb days on a rest day, and then slightly higher carbohydrates on a training day. Simply simple as that. If you're not going to track calories, otherwise use an app to track your calories so you're not going over the limit, maybe gaining weight. Yeah, make sure you're getting out in the sunshine, hitting your vitamin D. Vitamin C tablet might be a good idea now, especially with the virus around. But you don't need to. You could just eat lots of leafy greens, get a load of peppers in you as well. And just keep every meal balanced, healthy and protein with every meal. Loads of water. Just tick off the boxes every day, all the basics. Yeah. Water, the right food, movement, mobility work, walking around.
And obviously, when it comes to foods, we know, to eat more greens and to get enough veg in you, as you say, for the vitamin C, because that's for your immune system, isn't it? Yeah. Things to avoid: you don't want to be overeating certain foods, right? Because obviously your portion control is going to probably still be the same, if not more, because you're bored, but you're moving less. So yeah, people, you need to make sure that you're not overeating as well. I mean, it goes
about energy balance, isn't it? So if you're eating the same but now you're moving less, your weight might go up. So you've got to match it up. So if you're not going to move as much, you might want to bring your food down a little bit, or less carbs, or it depends. But just track your weight maybe once a week if that's a goal of yours, and then watch your food. But just move more as well. Just walk more, ride, do this stuff that we spoke about at the start at home.
Yeah, all the cardio core upper body stuff, and lower body, of course. Okay. So that's nutrition, briefly touched. I'm quite happy with that. Hopefully people take a bit of info from that. Just, eat more veg, eat less crap, basically. So yeah, I suppose the last bit is just to plug us, really. Obviously, we've just done this chat. Hopefully I'm going to be able to edit this and put a lot of little images and stuff to help you guys out. But obviously in this time of quarantine, and how myself and Ben, neither of us can really work one-on-one with people right now, we'd really appreciate if you can help us spread the word of this whole post about trying to get people moving. And if anyone has any injuries, or if anyone wants to be trained a little bit more specifically, speak to Ben or myself. Just contact us on our pages. We'll get back to you. We're both really quick with our replies. And we both are doing like virtual sessions. So if you do want to do one-on-one PT, Ben, you're still, how's it you're working with that, Ben?
Yeah, so I'm even doing Skype sessions, so a bit like this, but I'm moving around a little bit. So I'm running through sessions, guiding them through it, going through different plans on a call like this, or I'm doing online coaching, so with check-ins and sending plans over, food and training, and then just accountability check sheets with sleep, movement, steps, just all different stuff for accountability. So there's a few things I'm doing till we can get back in the gym.
Yeah, you really keep on top of your clients, don't you? You don't let them get away with anything.
Yeah, I don't just want to provide a session and then see you later, see you next week. It's every day counts. Like, you've got to be ticking off boxes, getting your steps in, getting your water in, your sleep. There's so many things you can track, but that one session could be ruined or wiped out if the other 6 days you're not managing everything else. So yeah, I'm on top of the lifestyle stuff. I don't just provide sessions, it's lifestyle habits trying to get in there.
And that's why you're such a legend.
Thank you.
And for myself, Yeah, if you've got an injury or if there's anything going on that's still lingering, I think over the last month or two, I don't know how many I've been seeing, but I've been keeping track of clients, people that I had booked that had to be cancelled, sent them all out emails. If you've got any problems that are lingering, give me a message and we'll exactly the same as what me and Ben are doing right now. You can show me the area. I can talk you through exercises and how to manage it. Once we can hopefully try and manage the actual injury and work out where it's coming from. Someone behind me. Yeah. So if you've got any major injuries, if it's stopping you doing any of the stuff we've spoken about exercise-wise, contact me and we'll try to minimize that pain so you can maximize your exercise routine. And I think that's it. You feel like we covered everything?
Yeah, just making sure you get a structure. Like especially if you haven't got work, making sure you're getting up for a walk early, ticking off boxes each day, having a structure to every day, and then working on the things that we did. Yeah, this was quite broad to get and not going into too much detail. But yeah, we could do another one going into more detail on one type of subject. But yeah,
I mean, if this is successful enough, if this goes well for all of you at home, we'll go into maybe Ben will individually by himself go into one a bit more about nutrition. I'll go into a few more about specific injuries, and we'll keep it going. You know, if people feel like they benefit from this. But I suppose the end message is keep moving, keep injury free, and stay healthy. And obviously this,